The next topic is insights from sign language. Sign language that we have already discussed earlier is quite similar to spoken language for the fact that they also follow, the sign languages, they also follow complete linguistic system as we have in the spoken languages. And sign languages are also, like spoken languages, are considered natural languages as they arise from our natural need to communicate with deaf people. Lots of studies that have been conducted in this area to see, although sign language follow a completely different physical medium of communication, different from the vocal aspect of the spoken languages, but some evidence show that, like slip of tongue that we have seen as a speech error in the spoken language, in the sign languages as well there are certain errors that result from some miscommunication or misrepresentation of the physical gestures. So in this topic we will see that how those things happen, and then if they happen, what type of gestures communicate and how differently they communicate the intended or meanings that are different from the intended meanings. We have slips of the head. Errors occur in signing that strongly resemble those found with speech. Independence of parameters. Speech errors suggest that these are independent planning units because errors ordinarily occur at one level of planning at a time. So there is no such thing as multiple processing. This is one happening at a time. Now we will look at these with the help of some images. Newkirk, Kalima, Pedersen and Belushi, they have found some fascinating evidence that slips of the hand similar to slips of the tongue take place with deaf signers as well. Now Newkirk and colleague analyzed the errors in terms of the parameters of American Sign Language hand configuration. Now according to American Sign Language, hand configuration, place of articulation and movements to assess whether sign parameters also appear to be independent units of production. The researchers found errors analogs to exchange, anticipation and perseveration. One example of an exchange concerned an individual who apparently intended to sign sick bored, similar to the English, for example, I am sick and I am tired of it. Now look at the hand configuration. So placement of articulation at forehead, movement with twist for a sick, and for a board you can see the hand configuration straight index finger with hand toward signer, place of articulation is at nose, movement with twist of wrist. What the signer actually produced was the sick sign for sick was, or you can say what he produced, the sign for sick with the hand configuration for bored and vice versa. These cases provide evidence that American Sign Language signs are not holistic gestures without internal structure. Rather, they are subdivided into parameters that are somewhat independent of each other during sign language production. So we can see that again this is quite similar to the slip of tongue, where one intended to say something else utters an entirely different piece of information. We also have another area which is considered as morpheme structure constraints that are also a part of American Sign Language, and where we can see in terms of making gesture some mismatching of morphemes can also create the incorrect gestural communication. Coming back to morpheme structure. Now, one final aspect of signing efforts concerns whether they obey constraints of morpheme structure that are part of the grammar of American Sign Language. With speech, we have found that errors follow phonological rules. The correct sign for deaf includes a hand configuration in which the index finger is extended. The contacting region is the tip of the extended finger. In the error, the hand configuration of woman, an open palm, is substituted for the index finger. So again you see that in terms of morpheme as well, the incorrect placement of the hand's finger can cause correction or cause incorrect representation of the gestures, and they are considered as errors. The open palm hand shape does not permit basically an index finger contact, so the contacting region was shifted to the tip of the thumb, which is an acceptable contacting region for this hand configuration. In other words, the contacting region of the sign is accommodated to the hand configuration that is erroneously used. In general, slips of the hand strongly suggest that similar principles of organization underlie signed and spoken language, pointing to the possibility that both types of language take the form they do because of basic cognitive limits on how or how much linguistic information may be structured or used. To conclude, studies of sign language production are available because they enable us to distinguish between those aspects of production that are constrained by broad biological forces and those that are specific to speech.